4th or the 5th, right? Let me turn this down into my, what you call it, a little bit. So I got to do some missions here to build up my dilithium. But happy First Contact Day. That's the kin to May the 4th be with you in May 4th, right? Star Trek had to jump ahead with First Contact Day. I mean, jump the calendar, I want to say. So here I'm playing Star Trek, trying to get some things out of the way, and I might switch up a game. It's just that I want to get to a few things before I have to go to work tonight. So I have to work the wrap down shift from 11:45 to 3:45. So I gotta leave in like 2 hours, I guess. Yeah, around 2 hours. I just woke up a little while ago, around 1900 Northeast time. So so first I want to say happy First Contact Day to all my Trekkies, and then I want to say, if all of you are not paying attention in the past 2 weeks, the United States government and officials for the United States government and officials from other governments who have served in key positions, like being directors of space agencies, being head of the CIA, all those, super duper techie people, and government officials and the government, the Pentagon or Air Force has released it, that either we are being visited by those, I would say, humans from the future, which I think is a very, 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 very legitimate paradigm, or intelligent life. And if you take it one step further, the head of the Israeli space, either Defense Force or like their version of NASA, came out and said the United States and Israel are in a galactic federation. I don't know, I go back to the Mintakins. As Star Trek people know, I go to, First Contact, how First Contact happened, and stuff of that nature. So, I don't know. I think that's a big, big thing that we all have to be looking at right now, because it does two things. Number one, it shows that we're not alone somehow in this, let's say, reality. Okay? And then beyond that, it might show that these technologies could be the same technologies that could clean up our Earth, make our Earth better, right? So, I don't know. I had heard that the United States government back in the 2000s had embarked on a 45/30-year plan where they were kind of say life was out there, and then they would confirm life was out there, and then they were going to confirm big life was out there, which I think exists on that moon that goes around Jupiter with the ocean, Europa, I think it is, with the inner ocean. And then that would bring us to, there could be intelligent life out there if there are big life forms out there, like our size, 6 feet, or even less, like, half of us, like, because of the way evolution worked. So, I think that's big news that we are not paying attention to, that the United States government has said it, other government officials have said it from other governments, and these are key people. The head of the CIA has said he's seen things, and he knows things, and he's heard things. So, I don't know. I think that's big news. And we're just letting it kind of get lost in the backwash somewhere. Things are very, very important now. I'll do that in another podcast, because I want to get back to my Amazon. But I think that's big, big news, right? All right. So I need to join an Iconian. TFO. Gateway to Grethor or a Herald Sphere. I don't play Herald Sphere enough, even though I do like Gateways to Grethor. Alright, so that's doing in the background. Alright, so I had 2-week COVID leave. Let me tell you, I understand, but Amazon makes it extremely easy. Well, it was extremely easy for me for COVID leave. So I don't know if there's any horror stories out there or whatever. But Amazon pretty much took care of me for 2 weeks, and I got to give a shout out to Amazon for that. And hassle-free, just hassle-free. So I work at CDW5, right? I'm not going to use names, but I will use red vest, blue vest, safety vest, terms like that. But I will not use names, even though I wanted to point people out, but I will not. And once again, these are musings and tales. This is allegedly what happened at Amazon and what I think about it. Allegedly at CDW5. So I returned back to I returned back to work, and I work wrap down. I love working wrap down. It's easy. You have the right PA/managers, and you have the right team, and you can break down a dock in a night very, very easily. But I always think that you have 10 to 15% of people who don't want to work, who just stand around and do nothing. And let me tell you, I was gone for 2 weeks, and I returned 2 weeks later, and the same people are still not doing the work or looking like they're busybodies, right? I had a long talk about it with an ops manager this week, and I'll give you that episode as well. So the same people who worked and the same people who were lazing about are still lazing about. But I see that they changed the PA schedule up a little bit, which I think is good. I think if you have, I think you need to rotate your teams of PAs because they all have different skills, and some of them can work the crosstalk better than they could work building pallets and stuff like that. But their PAs are meant to be motivators, and that's why I don't think that PAs should carry laptops. Your area manager should give direction to the PA. It should be maybe an earpiece so it's not over the loudspeaker. Earpiece to area managers and PAs, and area managers and ops managers are in the computers looking at the computers. There is nothing a PA gains on a computer that an area manager or an ops manager does not know either, right? So it's just a redundancy. And your PAs are supposed to be what drive your associates, their process assistant, to make sure the process goes okay, right? That the assistant is not only bringing the proper cart to the proper door, but also making sure that cart, that there is a truck for every cart. There should never ever, there are enough doors on that, there should never ever be a destination that does not have a truck open. There's just no reason for it. So every destination, and there's a few destinations, and there's some few out, I think it should go by volume of building. Whatever, if DYN4, if 50% of our packages are DYN4, then there should be 4 open at all times. 4 doors open at all times for DYN4, and then subsequently whatever the volume is, per So we have, I think we have DJZ3, which doesn't have a lot of things, but sometimes waxes and wanes. But once again, it's really a tertiary one where we do like 2 or 3 main ones in the immediate area. And so we should be moving those boxes as quickly as possible because those can get delivered quicker to the customer in that geographical location. And that's what a sort center is doing. The sort center its primary task is to move the package on the way to the customer or its next location as quickly and efficiently as possible. That is the ultimate goal of every sort center. Not these petty other things, moving pallets, learning associates sitting around doing nothing, safety people sitting around doing nothing. And I'll get to that in a minute. But I'm saying to you that every person on the floor from PA up should be driving that process to bring the package to the customer at all times, as quickly and efficiently as possible. And so what happens is that you have to structure a way that there's never in the whole process there should not be a waiting. Meaning the person who stacks the pallet should not have to be waiting for a water spider to bring another cart to them. Should not be having to wait for a water spider to move the cart away. And maybe it should be that there's no pallets anymore, that everything is cart based. They should just bring the person who puts together the cart, brings the cart to the edge or brings it to a station. And maybe there's 2 stations stationed outside. What brings it to the two stations that the you should not have to call for a water spider. You station your cart to be picked up by the water spider, and the water spider automatically takes it. So there will always be a cart in the lanes that a water spider needs to service, and transporters. So you are bringing that cart out as quickly as possible out of that area and onto the truck to get the truck stacked. Not parking. You could do cycle 1s and cycle 2s. But cycle 2 should automatically put in the pens, if that's the way it's supposed to be. I don't understand these cycle 1s and cycle 2s. I don't understand how it's just we're not sorting by the hour or 3 o'clock hour or whatever, and we just label the cart, each cart that way, and carts just automatically put onto open trucks. As I said, that there is never a truck, there's never a cart that needs to stay in the center itself. It should automatically be put onto a truck. You have 1 to 80 doors, and that can somehow be arranged for 6 to 10 main destinations. With, as I said, the higher destinations by percentage packages have the more doors. DNY4 would have 4 doors open at all times. DNJ3 would have 3 or 4 doors open at all times, and so on and so on and so on, right? Or DNJ3, I don't know. You know what I'm talking about, right? But that's why I love working Crosstalk. But the problem with Crosstalk is that when you have so many carts on the on the Crosstalk, workers can be lost, what I call lost amongst the weeds. That they're in the carts not doing their jobs or taking a break. And I get it, so every once in a while you need to take a break, but taking out their phone and just when they just drop off their cart on the Crosstalk, instead of putting it in the truck with a gun scanned to each location, then I think they can easily get lost in the weeds, because you could easily have 50 carts on the Crosstalk at one time. How can 2 PAs with an area manager look down a Crosstalk to see how many workers are not doing their jobs and how many workers are just standing around, right? So, and why I say that is that there are a core of people who work, but there are core of people who do as little as possible. And your process assistants are there for those people to drive the process, to assist the process. So they should not be stuck in their little computers. They should be walking down. And I get it. Here's another thing I understand. I'm a man of a certain age. You PAs and managers and area managers and what have you, you are selective with who you will go to when there's a problem or you see a problem. You will let others skate by because either they're your friends or you don't want to deal with it because I don't want to say you are uncomfortable dealing with conflict and you believe that is conflict. And that is not conflict. You are just telling the associate that they need to continue to be productive. If they need 5 minutes, then they take 5 minutes. But 5 minutes every 10 minutes or every 15 minutes builds up to 15 minutes an hour that they're not working. And 15 minutes times 4 hours a shift is now 25% of their time that they're off task, not doing what they're supposed to be doing. And PA should not allow that to happen. And all you have to do is clean your floor, especially on the Crosstalk, to make lines of sight that you can easily see who is not doing what they're supposed to be doing, and they're not being as productive as they should be. I've seen people walk up and down Crosstalk and not move a cart for 15 minutes. And then all of a sudden they get labor tracked, and all of a sudden it's fine. And those are the people that there should be no labor tracking on Crosstalk. I don't think there should be any labor tracking anywhere in the building. Each task that you need to do should be somehow be able to be quantified, whether it's how many non-coms you move, if you're a transporter, how much you transport. So maybe there's an RFID chip on each cart, and the RFID chip is around, and when you scan the cart, not the contents inside. A transporter would scan the cart, the wireless would know that the cart is there. You would know where the cart was at all times, and you would know where all packages in that cart are at all times to be able to transmit that information back to the customer. And because I was just I missed my opportunity. And I don't think it's that hard, and I think it makes it more efficient because you know where the cart is at all times. And so a transporter would come up to a cart, scan the cart, and then the cart would measure how far it went, and all the carts that person moved within a day, how many miles and how many carts, you would know what your general productive average would be per Amazonian and per volume, because you'd be able to match up between the two. How fast are you moving 14,000 packages, or more importantly, maybe how fast you're moving not 14,000 packages, but I don't want to say each package is a ton, but take off take off a zero, so 140 pounds an hour. You get what I'm saying, right? And by the gun would measure all that, so you would know who was just standing around doing nothing. You would know where this cart is at all times, and how it's not yet onto the truck, right? Because the cart's ultimate destination is the truck. So if cart number 1 has to go to DYN4 on the other side, the associate scans the cart. Already the computer system knows from the water spider that this cart is just carrying DYN4. And then they scan it from the place where they pick it up. There'll be a scanner, either they scan the cart, where they pick it up, and then where they move it to. And a transporter should only put a cart on one place, the door. There should be once again, you have 80 doors. There is no reason why you should not build a system, if it's not already there, where that there is never a door not open for a destination. Simple as that. And you don't have to do cycle 1 and cycle 2 again. I think cycle 1 and cycle 2 creates more strain on the system than there needs to be, because you now have to make space for those carts that are staying. So those carts should not stay. They should ultimately be brought to its next destination. There should be no packages at all in that in that warehouse by the first shift the next morning, by 3:45 a.m. That every package has left to its next destination or is loaded on the truck. That there is no reason for any packages to be physically inside the sorting station, because they've already been sorted, and that's the ultimate goal of the sorting station. So process assistants have to drive associates, and the system itself has to be better, especially scan with guns. So you scan the package, it's on that it's in that cart, because you're doing away with pallets now. So it's in that cart, and you know where that cart, and now you can take that cart easily. The fact that you got to move it with hand jacks, and the fact that you even have to put it on a pallet, Amazon should just go out and buy a cart company. Or if you can, order as many carts as you can every day, so that your facility, or CDW5, does not CDW5, because it always has the carts coming in and going out. Right? So carts come in, empty carts come in, loaded carts go out, and it's a constant cycle. And then you would know the average over the days of how many carts you would need. So you wouldn't need pallets anymore. If you knew that you need, I don't know, maybe 400 carts a day, that's the computer with other drivers and other facilities and what have you would be sure that there were always 400 carts arriving with maybe a 10% bump just in case, and carts on standby. But there should be no pallets anymore. They take up too much room, and it's cumbersome for a person to have to go and move something on a pallet. Simple as that. And you can make non-com carts that are big and strong, so they won't fall over, dependent upon weight, especially with these heavier things and these more bulkier things. So you make a non-com, a 2-person non-com cart that's easily transportable, or a large non-com cart, 2 carts, maybe just double the size of the cart, so that you could put it in the cart. And it's a 2-person job in those large non-com carts. But once again, you're doing away with pallets. I think pallets are stupid. The other thing you have to do is should only sort 2 things: envelopes and packages. That's it. Envelopes should be its own sortation all by itself. When it gets mixed in with packages and people start scanning 50 Jiffies and what have you, a large amount of Jiffies can easily break somebody's day building a pallet. So Jiffies should be sent to and get rid of the name Gaylords, please. It's just offensive. Into some type of Gaylords, or some type of cart that's truly netted, or a special netting like a fish net that you would put on the cart, so that Jiffy's would stay in that cart area. They would not spill out. Simple as that. And you can put, how many Jiffys could you put in that way? Especially if you're able to do it in an orderly fashion by machine, not with a person. That just the machine takes care of the Jiffys, and people have to take care of packages. So maybe once COVID is over, A side takes care of all Jiffys, B side takes care of all packages, and then you build your doors from there based upon destination on either side. But once again, if you're having to transport DYN4 to door 101 when it's closer to door 170 and vice versa, I think you slow down the process as well. So there should be multiple doors, opened at all times on either side for carts to simply be put for that destination on the And you all right, I'm gonna do it for real this time. And you, because I'm talking with my hands and so I'm not paying attention to what I'm saying. I think that's how you streamline the system there. I think the system is too convoluted right now. You can easily streamline it, take away computers from PAs to be more associate-centric. And that's where learning associates come in. And the green vest, all right? It seems all of a sudden when you have a vest, you don't have to work anymore. And I don't understand that unless you're a PA or above that have to drive the actual operations. A safety person and a learning person, all they do is they're an adjective over the whole process. They make sure the process is safe, but they do not drive the process. And learners make sure that tasks and jobs that are part of the whole process are learned, right? But they are not the process. And so they don't have the status of manager. This girl talked to me the other day. She was in a, I say that, I shouldn't use the sex. It was a blue vest, right? And the blue vest took me off of my, the blue vest felt I wasn't doing my job fast enough, and I didn't understand why. I already put down 4 carts within an hour of packages. And she had come and she started throwing packages on the floor, which you are not supposed to do. You're not supposed to put any packages on the floor. And why? Because it happened. She mixed up the packages, so then I started to put another destination package onto my cart, which then caused me to slow down, and I fell over a small box that I did not see, or I tripped over a small box that I did not see on the floor that she put on the floor. So she should not have done that on either side. There were 2 workers, and she broke the 6-foot rule because she was literally climbing all over me. And the other associate that I was working at, and you can look in the camera. It's right there in the camera. So you can't say that I'm lying, right? So I had walked away because nobody brought carts. We were very, very busy. But I only had 4 boxes on my chute, and I just finished my cart, and there were no free carts behind me, and no one was bringing a cart to my destination. So with only 4 boxes, I went and I brought 4 empty carts to my section that holds 6 carts. So she comes over. Once again, she does the thing with the boxes, but then she goes, "You're going over there." No explanation why, no reason why. When I was making rate and I had just stepped away, and because she was somewhere else, she didn't see the entire picture. She throws me somewhere else, right? All right, fine. So I go to the next place. Now, and I had one shoot. I had worked wrap down the previous shift, and then now I was on my second shift, right? And she, she ripped me out of the one lane that I was in, and then put me into a section that I had to work 3 lanes by myself. All right, I'm all for work, right? But then she comes over once again. She starts throwing things on the floor. I said, "Listen, I don't understand why you're micromanaging me." She goes, "Well, I am the supervisor in this section." No, you have a blue vest. Unless somebody came over to me and told me that you were a supervisor, which no one did, you are not my supervisor until you put on an orange vest or a red vest. Simple as that. And then on top of that, you didn't give any rationale for what you were doing. Yes, my boxes had, and I said that to her. I said, there were 4 boxes. I went to go get 4 carts. By the time I got the 4 carts, the boxes had built up once again. I don't understand why he took me off of, it's not like I wasn't doing my job when I had already put down 4 full carts. And then like when I said that to her, she looked at me like dumbfounded. And then she realized I knew exactly what I was doing in my job. And then she apologized to me, and then she tried to make up some stupid excuse of why she was doing what she was doing, which didn't make any sense whatsoever, right? Once again, she stepped away from the situation. She didn't know I had put down 4 carts already within an hour. And then she pulled me off because I stopped because nobody else was bringing empty carts. I stopped to get 4 carts for me and my fellow associate in my lane. She was crawling all over. She came back every 20 minutes and like crawled all over us, pulled boxes off the thing, and then walked away for 20 minutes. So in that time, we took the box on the floor, put together carts. It was so stupid of what she was doing. It didn't make any sense. And then she was breaking the 6-foot rule on top of that. She made me trip and fall. She was lowering productivity, then she was enhancing productivity. So, so I went home during break. I was so mad. Like, I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to get in trouble, but I really don't care. Then also, so that was my second shift, which was 4:15, 8:15, and I walked out at 6:15, or 6:20, I should say. Then the shift before, I had an hour-long talk with the operations manager because we were supposed to have some sort of stand-up roundup at 1:45, right? Now, I have been there since November. I have spoken one-on-one with certain managers about the way things work and the way things are and how to make them improve them. But the one thing that I have constantly talked about with my managers is the fact that they will completely walk by associates who are doing nothing or on their phone and not redirect them to be productive. And then on top of that, they will decide that the blue vest, getting back to the colored vest, right? So blue vests will take their people. So during the 11:45 shift, 3 blue vests with 2 computers were showing one associate the new incident video, of how to be more safe, right? Meanwhile, it's 3 of them on 2 computers and they're not 6 feet apart, right? But they're gonna come and tell me how to be safe and how to be safer in my job. Let's look at that mirror first, right? Before you decide that you're gonna come over and do that. So because I had the roundtable at 1:45, they came over at like 1:15. And they were like, oh, we want to show this video. I was like, no. I said, I have a roundtable discussion in, in 15 minutes. I said, I want to do work before I have to go and do that. Right? They were like, okay. And they walked away. So then I had a roundtable discussion. And I got over there. And this lovely young lady from HR, I'll just tell her my complaints about HR because all my other complaints were about the way things are run on the floor, not necessarily HR. So first of all, I told her that HR is a cop-out because they do not sign their emails. They're not accountable, there's no transparency because they don't sign their emails. They just sign their emails. The HR team from CDW5, there's no name whatsoever as who the actual person is. And then meanwhile, when you deal with your operational managers, you know exactly their name, who they are, if they're a PA or if they're what they call it. So HR not saying this is Jane Doe from HR, the executive or the receptionist or whatever, I think is a real, it lacks transparency, and here's why. So when I became a blue badge, I got a pamphlet, and I got a pamphlet and an email with the pamphlet that stated I was going to get 30 UPT. Right, and both the email and the pamphlet said 30 UPT, but I only received 10. So then I sent an email to HR. I said, oh, I was supposed to receive 30, and you only gave me 10. So then she, I shouldn't say she's done it, but because I spoke to one person in person, so that's why I say she. I got a response from HR once again, anonymous HR, saying oh yes, they saw that I didn't get the extra 20 and they were going to create a ticket. So they said wait 48 hours to see what happens. So I waited 48 hours. I then wrote another email saying that, oh, I was due 20 hours, buy this pamphlet, and buy the email, buy the pamphlet, buy the initial email, congratulatory email with the pamphlet, and this HR person indicated, yes, I was supposed to receive 30 hours UPT, and I've only received 10, right? So then that person writes back, says, I will open another ticket, and here is the ERC line, if you want to call it the ERC line. So I called the ERC line. The gentleman, the gentleman on the ERC line said to me, yes, I see that. I will create a ticket to see why you didn't get the extra UPT. So now that's how many people confirm me I'm supposed to get the UPT, right? So now we're like a week and a half in. So then on Saturday, I saw a HR person that I've dealt with a few times, and this person was very, very nice. And I explained to them about the situation. And so she said, oh, well, it was our mistake. Oh, so it's like 2 weeks in. She goes, oh, it was our, I don't know what it is. I'm going to send an email right now. And then I went through everything. And I said, I don't understand why I didn't get them. I said, now it just seems like, it's being ignored. So she was very, once again, I don't want to say, the problem with everything being day one builds apathy, right? And Jeff Bezos, I'm sorry, I think you built a great company. This day one philosophy at fulfillment centers don't work, and the reason why it doesn't work is a day one associate who walks in knows nothing. You want the day 90 associate who has seen the way the whole system works and says, oh no, I understand, and I am going to try to make the system work. Day one attitudes allow people to stand around and do nothing because you just gently have to prod them, like as if today is their first day. And no, I think that's just not a right attitude to have. There's got to be a comfortable middle, but it definitely can't be day one every day. Because day one every day means that you're a newbie who knows nothing. Simple as that, right? So, then ultimately said that they made a mistake. But I had to suffer for the mistake because I didn't get the 20 extra UPTs. And all they said was, their blanket answer after 2 weeks was, yes, we realized what had happened, but we did not, but my problem was, if you knew it was a mistake, how come the day after you sent me my initial inquiry, your person said, no, you should receive extra UPTs. I had a pamphlet that said get UPTs, an email said I'm supposed to get UPTs, and now you're coming back after multiple sources said yes, you get UPTs, and you're saying no. And UPTs cost you nothing. It's unpaid time off, right? As the pamphlet said I'm supposed to get 30, I should get 30. And then I checked with other full-time employees and said yes, they got 30 upon their conversion to Blue Badge. I get if it was a mistake, but don't come back to me 2 weeks later and say it was a mistake. It should have been the day after that you came to me and said, oh, by accident we sent you this email, but it was only supposed to be 10 UPTs. And there was no differentiation I saw the PDF and all the emails. There's no differentiation between part-timers who they supposed to get you the 30 hours UPT and the full-timers who only get 10 UPTs. And the rationale that they try to give me didn't make any sense. Why would you give the better benefit to the employee who is not there anymore, right? Why do you give the benefit that they can only train in certain jobs that part-timers can train in other jobs than a full-timer can, and more jobs or more opportunities than a full-timer can by taking away or limiting to the initial bank of 30. It's like their rationale just didn't make any sense. So you owe me, CDW5 owes me 20.
The troop transports from the starbase.
So I was talking to her, and I was like, well, where's that manager supposed to come over? She goes, oh, well, this manager is supposed to come over, but they're not coming over. So then another manager came over, and then he actually apologized to me. I know that we're supposed to have this tonight, but, just the way the night is. I've been working for 2 hours. The way the night is. There's plenty of work was not that bad. So there was no reason to not have it. And I said that to him. And he goes, yeah, I know, I'm sorry. I said, and there's the apathetic answer that you give. And all you manage to give to the associates when the associates are trying to say something wrong. Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I know. I said, it's apathetic. And I said, and it's... So then you continue to listen to me for 1 hour, like all my observations, about Crosstalk, approaching associates who take 40-minute lunches when they're 40-minute breaks, and when supposed to take 20-minute breaks. So he was really, really good about it. But I just want to do some of the observations that I have. And like people who take 40-minute breaks, you guys go break first of all too early. Break should have to close before 2 hours of any shift. Within the first 2 hours of any shift. It makes no sense for it. Even if you want to do 3 break schemes where the breaks are stationed 10 minutes apart and you allow everybody to go on break, you can easily do it after the first 2 hours. You send the first one on their 20-minute break right away. But you got to go into the break area. I think you have to give 10 minutes time, because then that shit doesn't done, and you're sure that everybody who's back on the floor is back on the floor. And once again, that goes into the RFID readers in the scanners that also will be good for the scanners and the cards, so that if that's your and you log in for shift, it never logs you out.
That's the only from the starbase the planet.
And then you would know who's where in the building at all times. He's transporting, he's just sitting there doing nothing. And why are they in one place for 20 minutes? Because there should be no reason for any person in that entire building to be in one place for more than 20 minutes. Simple as that. And a cart with a scanner that has both carts and RFID and scanners that have RFID chips in them, and a location system would know where every employee is and where every card is. That's not saying that you are right there physically on top of the employee knowing what they're doing, but you're making sure that the employee, that in the process of having to move a cart from point A to point B, or a package from point A to point B, that it is always happening, and that if there's somebody who's if a cart or an employee has ceased to move within 10 minutes, that means a package is not being that there's a gump up in the system. And then that's when an area manager tells a PA, oh, by the way, over by Crosstalk or section M26, there's been somebody who's been there, because every every stanchion is labeled, hasn't moved for the past 10 minutes. And their card hasn't moved for the past 10 minutes. And also that all cards should be on, there should be no cards in the building, once again. That all cards should be on a truck at all times. From the moment they leave their stacking station. Simple as that. And I was like, and you have employees that take 40-minute lunches, and you got employees who stand around to nothing. You have the single person who gets lost in the weeds, right? Just walking around the place like the learning associate, walking around their computer, supposed to be training something. If you're a learning associate just sitting at that front desk, then you're not helping the ultimate goal of that fulfillment center of sorting packages and moving on to the next destination. Simple as that. You are cheated unless you are seriously doing something. And I just see them sitting around doing nothing. Or I see them come over to a spot and they're hanging out with their friends at the spot. Once again, not doing anything, just talking to them. They're not teaching, but what are you, talk teaching? I don't understand. Same thing with the safety associate. You're supposed to go around and make sure that things are safe. What you can do around every hour for you standing around doing nothing on your, just pushing a computer along, it once again is not helping the process of what you call it. And if you're doing your, believe it or not, if you're helping, you would find the person who's not wearing their mask. You would help stop COVID. You would see the PAs who are not 6 feet apart. So once again, you're in a laptop that you don't need to be in. For what? You're supposed to walk around and make sure things are being safely done. That the light is on in the truck. That this. And if you have one safety person or two safety people per area, but they are working also delivering cards and stuff like that, they would see what was going on and be able to make a better, make the place safer instead of them just walking around doing absolutely nothing, or putting their boys or putting their friends on gatekeeping. That's another BS thing. Because one day I told them that's what they do too. The learning associates will walk around with their friends absolutely doing nothing, right? And because that person is wearing a blue vest, no PA or no manager will go up to them and ask them, well, what are you actually working on right now, right? And then you have the other extreme. You have the learning associate who wants to be a PA so bad, and I've heard them say it. Oh, I want to be a PA so bad, but this is all they can give me. Then they think they're little mini PAs, because they're only a few letters away from P and an A, right? So no, if you're not teaching somebody, you should be pulling a card or moving a package to its destination as well, not sitting there in the laptop. And I think that PAs should do pallet audit. PAs should not do pallet audits. Learning associates should do pallet audit, because that's you're trying to make sure you're checking. I guess I should really learn what a pallet audit is, but I would think it'd be something more learning associate than process assistant, because process assistant is really to drive your employees and make sure that they're always doing something. And so you would be able to just tell your process assistant, I'm opening up truck 134 for DNY4, right? Or you mark the doors all the time that is the only door that it goes to. It's the other thing I don't understand. Why you have to assign a door? Why can't you just say door 1, 2, 3, 4 will always be DYN4, or 130 to 134 will always be DYN4. So if they're always DNY4, those are the only cards that go on it. And then DNJ3, so on and so on and so on. So I gotta go in a minute. So he was like, oh yeah. And I said, you have the guy who walks around, does nothing. You have who I call the lovebirds. Those are two people. It takes two people to bring a cart, right? The person pushing the cart and the person who's standing beside them. Giving them the power to push the cart. It's their battery. Like, I don't understand. I call them lovebirds. And then just the groups that hang around, and especially the ones that get lost in, like around the water spidering area and where could be many carts, and then also in the crosstalk areas where there could be many carts. A full cart should be on a truck at all times. Should never be in and I don't understand the cycle 1 and cycle 2. Maybe somebody's got to explain it to me, but ultimately it's just a matter of bringing these packages to their next destination. I don't understand the need for a cycle 1 or cycle 2. Just that carts are always being put on trucks, and there's always open trucks for those carts based on share of volume in the itself. What was the other thing I told him? Oh, and that PAs do as I say, not as I do. Don't be on your phone if we're not supposed to be on our phones. Don't be, on top of each other, staring into one computer. There's a couple that does it all the time that now I think are an item. But she and he are always on top of each other on one computer, staring into the computer. Or, they're so friendly. There'll be two, PAs on one side of the dock, just having a conversation about their children in high school, and they think because they're doing it in Spanish that I don't understand what they're talking about, or even if they weren't doing it in Spanish, but they're doing it in Spanish because they think I don't know what they're talking about, or talking about their boyfriends or whatever, right? No, one of you should be in one section, one of you should be in the other section, and you should not be on your laptops. It should be just the area manager gives you the door. You always know what the door is, so you're just making sure that all assistants are putting the on the door. You're just standing there. If they stop it, you go, what's going on? You walk over, you solve the problem, you put it right on the door. There's no need for a computer at all, because a door would always be open for that destination. You are the process to make sure that it's being put on the door. And because the crosstalk is clear, you would totally see if anybody was standing around doing absolutely nothing, or if they would just bring, moving the cart to its next destination. Then you get rid of that robot pen. Or you can make the whole thing robotic, actually, if you wanted to. The higher-ups, if anybody higher-up is listening, I have an idea for that. But you get rid of that whole pen. And then, once again, that space that you don't need. Or you could, with ground floors, by getting rid of pallets and getting rid of the pens that hold carts. These carts will always be on doors, or always be on trucks. Then you either expand how many packages you take, can sort there to bring even more packages, or you could downsize. I don't know. I don't want to say downsize. I don't want anybody to lose their job, but you could just instead downsize to a smaller or increase packages coming in. But you gotta get rid of 40-minute breaks. You gotta get rid of the do as I say, not as I do. And the other thing is, PAs and managers really have to address associates better. It should just be Miss, Mr., or associate. Not not honey, not sweetie, not baby, not my brother, my sister. No, we're ultimately, at the end of the day, we could have a nice, friendly time, but it also has to be respectful, and it has to be a place of business at all times. And you shouldn't allow people the sexual talk that I hear on the amongst the young guys, and just the way that the younger PAs address associates. I just think that, as I said, it's just Mr., Miss, sir, ma'am, or associate. Or Amazonian. Call them Amazonian. Everybody should just call each other Amazonian. If you don't know the person's name, then you call them an Amazonian. But as I said, I've heard too many things that just are not professional whatsoever. And there was one other thing, 'cause I know my friends are around the corner, and I gotta sign off. What was the one other thing? But I want to do one more mission too. PAs talking to one another. Everything done by scanner. It was just there too. Oh, young managers. I get it. You might, have just come from college, and you don't know. You've never been in a managerial position before. But by you being a red vest or an orange vest, you are vested with the authority to make the associate be productive, right? You can be nice about it. You can be hard about it. I personally think you get, more things with honey. The way, as I said, you talk to people with respect or what have you. But at the end of the day, you are vested with the authority to tell these people why you're standing around. If there are 5 guys standing outside of a truck, right, because they're waiting to pull off carts off a truck, and we know how slow it is, then it's just be one person puts on the truck, especially if there's many if there's many carts. And that's what I'm saying. If you always had a door open for every destination, you wouldn't have to worry about filling up trucks. If you had two always open trucks for every destination, and you just replace them as you fill them, you would have no need to keep the carts in. So the associate there would be no buildup on the dock once again, where people could just congregate, right? So, but associates who are not being productive, you got to make them productive, and you got to do it in such a way that is diplomatic. And I said to the ops manager last night, he was like, "Well, how do I?" He goes, "I need your opinion now. How do I go to the associate who's sitting there for 20 minutes?" Who is already taking a 40-minute break? And I said, you simply say to the associate, how long have you been on break for? Especially when they're not supposed to be there. Or you scan you scan their badge. Somehow there has to be a better way of communicating. But at the end of the day, you allow the associate, that's why I gave the pushing thing. So you're pushing a cart, right? You're supposed to push a cart at all time, and you see somebody pulling a cart, you would go to them, and instead of saying, "Hey, stop pulling the cart," you would say to them, "What's the policy regarding carts?" And the person would say, "I should be pushing a cart," and then you put it on them. Like, you didn't have to be a bad person about it. Once again, about breaks, and that's why you have to have that 10-minute thing, the 10-minute break, so the area should have nobody sitting there. Oh, and associates, if you are not on. No associate, there has to be a way, either the back one or the side one, but I think associate who is not the place should not be a hangout, I guess what I want to say. And if you're not supposed to work that shift, you shouldn't be in certain places, like definitely not on the floor itself. Maybe always in the break room. You split them off, half off, and you only allow 10 associates who are not on, 10 associates who are not on a shift or whatever. But there has to be a way to put those associates in one section so that you know that every other place is a break place, and you break up you stagger the breaks with 10 minutes or 5 minutes, not 10 minutes, with 5 minutes apart, and everybody has to go and break at the same time. I've had people say, "Oh no, I don't have to go and break right now." What? They just called break. There's a difference between the person who is still doing a task and them calling break. So if I'm transferring a cart from point A to point B, 9 out of 10 times, unless I'm at, if I'm already past the halfway point, I will continue on. But if I'm not past the halfway point, I might stop and go on break, depending on where I am, right? But ultimately, I try to fulfill that task. If you do a 20-minute break with a 5-minute break in between, then nobody should be sitting there. Everybody will be back to the floor doing their thing. And the process assistants on the floor would know that, right? Because they strictly deal with the people, and they don't have laptops anymore. That's how you handle the break problem. And as I said, you have to have a special place, or tell employees that if they are going to stay, that they have to be in this certain section or certain break room, I guess I want to say. Especially with COVID, you shouldn't have people hanging out in the in the place anyway. So, and once again, the way you handle an associate, you have the gravitas to tell them to do something, is you say, you ask them what they're doing at that moment. An associate who's doing something at that moment will not say, They will know exactly what I'm transporting a cart. Or you see them, that they're transporting a cart. Or transporting, right now, pallets or pallet jacks or what have you. But if an employee is just standing there doing nothing, or waiting for a cart to take a cart off the truck or on the truck, I just think that you're not, they're not being productive. And the PA or the manager should be able to just approach that person, ask them what their current task is. The gun should know what their current task is, whether they're a stacker or they're a transporter or they're a water spider, X, Y, and Z. And then you can easily, if you were to scan their scanner, then on the PA's scanner would show what they were doing, the task they were doing in the last 10, 15 minutes. All right, that's all I got, because I got to get off of this. But I'm going to post this and post my other CDW5 musings and